You're entering the future-ready CNBC TV 18 EBIX Cash Studio.
Hi there, good morning. You're watching us here on Chartbusters. We come to you live from the CNBC TV 18 EBIX Cash Studio. I'm Manglam Malu. With me, as always, Nigel D'Souza. Nigel, good morning. It's been rather rough for the bulls over the last couple of trading sessions from yesterday's high. We've lost almost 350 points on the Nifty itself. But the only solace is that we're holding on to that 18,000 mark after briefly dipping below that. And the credit for that goes to HDFC Bank and the Nifty Bank, which outperformed yesterday and is also outperforming today. HDFC Bank at the high point of trade.
Well, Manglam, that's right. Good to see that we have bounced off the low point of the day. But let's focus on a couple of stocks. In Apollo Hospitals, well, the stock has corrected close to around 10% in the last couple of days. The street was expecting a strategic partnership in Apollo Health Company, that's a 24/7, to be closed by the end of 2021. To learn more about the progress on the deal, also get a sense in terms of business, especially in light of the declining COVID cases in the metros, well, we're joined by Sumita Reddy, the MD at Apollo Hospitals. Morning, Ms. Reddy. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Well, your stock has been a bit under pressure, and I'm going through the shareholding, and I understand one of the big FIIs, that Sands, they hold roughly around 5% stake in the company. Market talk is that, in fact, that they are looking to sell out, and they've gradually been selling in the open market. Have you received any communication from them?
We've received some communication that they had invested in some China stocks, so they were going to offload just a limited portion of Apollo Hospital shares, which they've done. And I think that if you were to look at the healthcare industry and our performance, this is probably the right time for them to pick up some more. So there was some profit booking. And I believe that that post that profit booking, everyone is looking towards our results. End of December results, which we will have in the February board meeting, where I think there is a lot of potential in this stock still.
Ms. Reddy, just to get that correct, as of the last quarter, the last updated shareholding, they had roughly around 5.5% stake, and they have been sellers in the last few days. So are you saying that they're done with their selling, or do you expect it to, have they communicated that they'll bring it down a little bit more? And also, what about the promoter shareholding? That came off by close to around 0.5% in the past quarter.
Yes.
No more promoter selling, right? Or is there any plan?
No. Right now, there's no plan. But I think the promoters had given a commitment to our investors that we would bring down the pledge, which we did. It was 33% last year. Currently, it's at 18%, so we have significantly brought down the pledge, and that was our intention, and we said we'll do it by December 31st. Our intention is to use the next 24 months to see how we can reduce it further, but there is no plan for a further sale of shares. With regard to Sands Capital, they actually own more than just the declared 7%. They were close to 9%. So yes, I think as a company, they had to offload some shares, but I believe they're committed shareholders to Apollo.
And what does their shareholding stand at now, from 7% to what now?
It's currently still at 7% because they were holding 9%.
Okay. So they've sold around 2%. But, the other thing that everyone wanted to know about was the strategic deals in Apollo Health Co. Because we understand there was talks with Amazon, there were talks with other players as well. Can you throw some light on that?
Well, it's difficult for me to give you any absolute comments on that, but we will definitely share some information.
But Amazon's part of the conversation, right? Among others as well.
Let me say that we're talking to both strategic and financial investors, and I think we've made a lot of progress, and we will be able to share this information in our February board meeting, if not earlier.
And 20% is what you're looking to offload, is it?
Yes, 20%.
And at about $500 million?
Well, close to 500 million, I would assume.
So that values the company at around $2.5 to $3 billion. 2.5 if you must, or closer to 3.
I think, yeah.
Ms. Reddy,
I think this delay has built more value in the company because 24/7 has done extremely well. It has lived up to its planned performance. Okay. So yes, you can see value coming from
So what is it? Is it in that $2.5 to $3 billion range? Well, that will be a pleasant surprise, Ms. Reddy. And I ask you this because I'm going through a Credit Suisse report, and they are valuing the business at $2.1 billion, going by their target price. So is it in that range?
No, I think Credit Suisse is just valuing the pharmacy business without the digital.
Okay, all right. They have assigned a value of $2.1 billion to Apollo 24/7. Okay, all right. That's what their notes suggest. But timeline, earlier we were expecting it, by New Year's it would be done. You want to revise the timeline? Will it be done by the end of this fiscal or with the quarter 3 numbers?
Of course, definitely by the end of this fiscal. And we hope to pleasantly surprise you.
Okay. Well, you have been doing that for a while because we've seen a big move on your stock price anyway. But, let's talk about business as a whole. The last time you joined us, in fact, the previous quarter, you did say that maybe quarter 3 will see improved margins. Has that happened? And with Omicron cases not seeing as many hospitalizations as, being reported, does that revenue pool come down as well for you?
So in the second quarter, our hospitalizations did come down, but in spite of that, we were able to show strong growth. I think we're maintaining that trajectory. This time we're having COVID, non-COVID and COVID work. Of course, the hospitalizations in the COVID space is definitely far less and shorter allows. So I think that, that business as usual, we are doing the normal cases, our occupancies are good. I think all 3 verticals, Apollo Health and Lifestyle, where we're focusing on diagnostic and testing, is doing really well. Hospitals, good growth trajectory over last year. And of course, Apollo Health Co, which is the pharmacy space, again, doing extremely well, but more details and more numbers post the board meeting.
Occupancy is good. What do you mean by good? 65% was the previous quarter. This quarter is better than that?
So I think, Omicron has hurt occupancy slightly, but not significantly, because we do have some COVID occupancy coming in this quarter.
Okay, all right.
So we have normal plus COVID.
Okay, all right. Ms. Reddy, the next big event is going to be Budget 2022. And, you would have some expectations. So you'd like to know what are those expectations?
Yes, I think the one thing is that keeping in mind, what the economy requires and how important health has become, we believe that some benefits given to the health sector are much needed at this time. Looking at unemployment at 8%, the health sector is the 5th largest employer in the world. So clearly, incentives in the form of one is to look at our GST regime and to look at the taxation that happens. So healthcare is rated as negative, and therefore we have no offset on the input costs. We request the Honorable Finance Minister to look into this and give us either a 0 or to move it to 5%. And therefore make healthcare affordable, much more cheaper than it is currently right now. The second is by doing so, especially the GST and rentals, which is at 18%, we do want to create a healthcare infrastructure account. REITs, healthcare REITs are much needed to invest into healthcare infrastructure. And I think COVID showed us how we really, there was a huge gap in the demand for hospital beds. And so therefore, that is a thing. But the most important, of course, is to look at us as a national priority, and therefore capital subsidies and 15-year taxation holidays, which
Take your point, Ms. Reddy. Thank you so much for joining in. Everyone has their wish list. Let's hope the finance minister goes ahead and surprises everyone positively, just the way you are hoping to surprise the street positively on the valuation for your healthcare business as well. Thank you for joining in. Wish you good luck for the remainder of this year. With that, we'll slip into a short break. And as we do that, we'll also get chatting with Sunil Chodia, the CMD at